Courts and Public Safety to order. Thank you all for joining us for our first meeting of the year. Can I have a roll call, please? Sorry, I should have checked with you. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, marvelous.
Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Mr. Beggs.
Here.
Mr. McCormick.
Here.
Mr. Erickson.
Here.
And Mr. Walker.
Here.
With that, we will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 14th.
I'll make the motion.
Really?
It's been a while.
Huh?
August 14th.
That was the last time in committee.
Really? Wow.
Support.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion, Hardy.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Any public comment for Courts and Public Safety? Quiet bunch, thanks for joining us. With that, Mr. Maloney, fiscal year 2026 County Emergency Operating Plan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So what you've been sent in your packet is a 117-page document, therefore I did not print them all out for you. I have a printed copy you want to see. So every 5 years we have to renew our county emergency operating plan, and so this is the year that we've had to go through that. And then on top of it, the state made a change last year that requires us to change our formatting. So it's all pretty much the same information, but I literally had to take all of it from the old format, put it in the new format, and then update. So this really wasn't just an update, it was a true revision. It hasn't been done in about a decade. So it involves a lot more forms and steps. A good example of that, now in our policy, it shows right in there that declarations of emergencies that you guys would declare, those forms are already in there, lays out a lot more, and also lays out a lot more how our EOC operations would work. It didn't really change the meat and potatoes of what was in there from before, but it was a pretty heavy lift getting it all changed over to the new format that the meat states. It was sent to the state through Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division for review, forwarded over to FEMA Homeland Security. They didn't come back with any comments. No comments is good. And so we did get some changes that were from the original. Mr. Walker had reviewed it and had some questions on some things. We made those adjustments. There were some typos, because when you stare at a 117-page document over the last year, it tends to all look the same. So thank you for those comments. We made those adjustments in there, and I'm here to answer any questions for you guys have on that. The next step of go ahead, Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Begg. Troy, when I read through the document, a lot of the parts I could relate to and stuff, but something that I was wondering that it looks totally, that it's not addressed in there at all. And being on the West Michigan Community Mental Health Board and being on the oversight board and, for the 8 counties, including Kent and Allegan and the big counties and stuff like that, I see more and more where community mental health is getting involved with different things. And I see if we had a major tragedy, you know, or a major event, I should say, where it might be worthwhile if we had somebody from CMH that could direct family members and stuff, you know, for counseling, or somebody who was trained in counseling, you know, people of any age, you know, if we have them at the command center. But it's not addressed there. It's not even talked about in there. Is there a reason? Is it just that it's not necessary, Troy, or what's your thoughts on it?
No, you're right on with that comment. So with this is an over hierarchy of a strategic plan. When we get down to those levels, that's more seen as an operational or tactical part of it. So we do have representations of one of the ESF positions that would be in contact with mental health and that would make those changes. The whole document is really a repetitive form of government or representation. Not everybody's name is on it because you just can't have that many people. So there are people under, and I don't know what ESF position it is, but then those people that would sit in the EOC, they're the ones that would fan out and talk to those people upon the request of whatever the incident management is. And you know, this document is not designed to manage incidents. It's designed to manage your involvement in it and my involvement and yours also with the Emergency Operations Center if we were to stand one up. So it is addressed, but not directly like you're saying.
You know, in almost one paragraph, one section could address that all, because, you know, being on that board, and I know one of the supervisors, one of the top tier people, is involved with Lake County with their opiate. He's involved with that on a lot of different things, involved with a lot of things in the schools, and he would be an ideal person, you know, just as, you know, right from the get-go, if we had something on it. But
We could add that as an appendix, like we have appendixes for all these emergencies, and we could add that. And this is a living document, so at any given time we can update, change it, but we can actually add that as an appendix to it.
I guess I'm asking the question, what do my other board members think about that?
That doesn't hurt. I mean,
It's not a heavy lift on my end to create that annex, and then it would come back to you guys for approval, then it would just get added in the packet. And that goes for anything else you might want to see when if you ever get through the 117 pages of it, and you're seeing other things, let us know. And if you collectively want to add those things, we can add them in as an appendix and then refer it in the table of contents saying for these specific items. But the idea is, remember, it's the overall high level governance that Mr. Walker's talking about. We don't get down into the tactics of the operations of it. That's for the incident management team, incident command, to deal with what the requests are. But I can absolutely add that through an appendix and get it back to you. That does not require another adoption of the document. That's just adoption of an annex to be added to it.
Tim, I'd just like to state that, having been involved in redoing policies or drafting policies or that, or guidelines, you know, for so many years, I think Troy did a very commendable job on redoing it, especially if you're going into a different format and, you know, changing it all and getting all the information. I did not want to be nitpicky when I went through those things, and I hope nobody thinks I was being nitpicky. There were just some very, very minor questions that I had.
And all those have been addressed in the final copy. And the way it would work, if you guys approve and sign out, I have those already in the finals. I'd send it to Tracy. You guys would sign on it, date it, and then I'd go back and get the signatures. So when you read through there, you'll see all the ESF positions. There's signature people that are being there. The reason the signatures aren't in there yet, because the plan has not been adopted. Once the plan's adopted, then I would go back and retrieve actual physical signatures, get a hard copy, send it to Tracy's office, and then she could distribute to you guys and then have it filed in the county clerk's office.
So, does the state adopt and review the policies from all 83 counties?
Yes.
I feel sorry for the person who's doing that.
Then that's part of why they were pushing, because throughout the county, or throughout the state and all the 83 counties, everybody has a little bit different format, and they're like, for reviewing it, it's almost impossible to review different formats, so they change it over. At first I was like, are you kidding me, the state's pushing to do another change? But in this case I have to support what they did, because it makes it much more easy to read through, much more point to when we have a true emergency or disaster area. Now this document isn't just a bunch of language, it actually has, you can go right to those appendixes and we can look right through them, and then it has those forms already in there, which I also have all those forms saved on my phone, on the computer. So if we did ever have a disaster, or you want to declare a local or request a state, would be next step response. That those forms are already ready to go, already pre-filled, that are just ready for either the chair or the vice chair in their absence to be able to sign for that, date it, and we send them right over to the state. And those documents are reflected in here also.
I have one more thing, Tim, if you
Yep.
don't mind. Troy, I read with interest the command center being on Griswold Street, and your comment about there being a generator up at the health department and stuff. Would it be easier if there was room to have your office where there is a generator all the time? Would it work better for you?
So it's kind of a twofold answer to that. So the primary emergency operations center is our dispatch center, because it is generated and full with IT products. Our backup is Griswold Street, because it doesn't have a generator. Otherwise we would switch those around. As far as where my office is being, I go wherever you guys tell me. It's where If it had generated and we had the technology to keep that going, and we had the space, would we want to change it to where it could be there? And it's just down the road. Yeah, it's up to you guys to decide what your use of space is on there.
The reason I bring that up is because I know Mr. Erickson has said that several times when we travel back and forth to Cadillac together, that, you know, Paul, do you wanna?
Yeah, well, you had made that request, you know, on the Griswold some time ago, and at that point in time, I do recall we put an $800 radiator in the generator we're using for the sheriff's department, and I had asked that we retain that generator for future use elsewhere. Well, my understanding is that went for scrap. You know, but we do have a good generator up at our ambulance building, and offices and refrigerators, microwaves, and sleeping arrangements. Just had thought that might be better to be closer to those assets that we also have in the sheriff's barn that we'll speak about later. One spot, you know, you got a helipad right there in that parking lot too if you needed it. So I had just looked in the future. The Cooney property was set up for that, and we bought the Griswold property after we owned the Cooney property. So we're kind of putting a Band-Aid on Griswold for those things, when truly an operation such as you may need would be through 911 Center, or I can see the Cooney property would be very advantageous for us.
Yeah, I think that definitely having both the primary and the secondary emergency operations center generator is a must. My office, not necessarily, because I work off a laptop anyway. So that I'm flexible with wherever you guys need me. Where my office is really isn't an issue on my end. Yeah, I mean, a lot of EM's offices are right next to or in proximity to their EOC for that convenience. So yeah, it would probably be a good convenience. But as far as we're so close within this stretch on Oceana Drive, it really isn't a operational problem to get there and take care of it. But that's up to you guys to decide. It's not on my end.
You know, my understanding, there's, you know, so Griswold is set up with probably everything but a generator, and EMS has a generator but nothing else. So if we venture down that road, I think we need to look at the cost one way or the other. My understanding was our previous EM put a fair amount of money's worth of equipment into Griswold as far as communications and whatnot. So we'd have to look at the cost offset between generating Griswold and outfitting the EMS building.
Well, we'd probably transfer all of that equipment up there, but
right.
The issue we had before was the director was a radio guy.
Right.
And he did that stuff as, you know, as a sideline when he was a police officer, so he could install all of that stuff. And now we'd probably have to go outside and have it done.
So there's
he's
cost
moved to
involved.
South Carolina, so he's not around anymore.
Oh, did he move out of here?
He did do a really good. I mean, what we have in the backup communications cubbyhole, because if you ever been to the storage room behind the Veterans Affairs building, that is the communications room for what we call our OXCOM. It's our auxiliary communications. That's a state certified through Homeland Security Division group of people who communicate on our behalf. They're licensed and certified through the state to be able to communicate not only under short radios but on our 800 system too. And that it's set up very nicely. A little more space would be fantastic for them because it is a very, very small area. But the technology in there is great. We're sitting really well on that, so it would just a matter of moving that hardware and relocating antennas would be.
Third option I'll throw out would be Sheriff's Department. Previous to that was the backup EOC. It's already generated. It already has an antenna.
Yep.
So, you know, if we're really interested in that, you know, it doesn't have Troy's office, but you know, that's an option too.
I just bring that up solely for the thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Troy had wondered where we were with that or had any thoughts on it, that it could still be regenerated if there was a desire to do so, to find out the costs.
The generator really is the important part for the generator, is the backup, is the EOC and the communications, not necessarily my physical location. So that's up for you guys to decide what the best use of property is for you guys.
Well, we've got
to
a
make
new
it work no
mobile
matter
command.
what.
Yeah.
Brand new mobile command. So
What's that?
we have a new mobile command.
It is, however, it is a limited, I won't say limited, it is somewhat limited in capability for what we do. It is not a duplication, it is a supplement.
Right.
And it's really meant for that on-scene usage of the incident commands program and incident managers to deal with it. It really isn't set up for an EOC to operate out of.
It's a
Two
local,
separate
localized
issues.
command.
It is, yep. So that trailer would be deployed to the scene, and that's where incident command and the unified command, where you're going to have law enforcement. It could be mental health. It could be all those people gathered together to manage that incident, whatever it is. That's their mobile office, and then they can communicate back to the EOC. That's a kind of a forward position, more tactical than it is strategical. And it's kind of the world we live in. We divide those two things up. So it is a fantastic asset. Jim did a great job with that trailer. But it is not. It's not something we would use from my office's point of view. Unless I get called to a scene to assist them with their incident management, then I would be located in there. But if we stood up our EOC, the trailer is not in play for an emergency operations center.
Do you have a trailer hitch on your vehicle to move it yet?
I don't have a vehicle big enough to move it. Fortunately, I have a very good relationship with the sheriff's office, who has a very nice new truck, and they deploy that for us upon request, and they've been fantastic with that. And so we don't have to have two vehicles. We share that vehicle, and the sheriff's office has been great. If I say, hey, we need it here, they get a hold of people and they make it move, and it seems to work. It's a good partnership, and it saves us a lot of money by not duplicating vehicles.
That trailer, you know, maybe Ryan could say, but I mean, that trailer gets used pretty often.
More and more.
Yeah, more and more.
It's a great asset.
It's a great asset, and between the pickup truck or the ambulance, the sheriff's department has plenty of vehicles to haul it with, and
And the technology that we have in that trailer,
Yeah.
had we had to purchase all of that equipment new, we wouldn't have a trailer like that.
No, that's a Homeland Security grant funded trailer, which means it's a regional asset. So if someone did call, Mason called and said, hey, can we use your trailer? If we're not using it, then we would send it to them, but we have first priority for that trailer. But anything bought under Homeland Security grants, they actually consider it a regional asset.
I was referring to some of the electronics that's in there. If we had to buy that stuff new, we would have had another.
We're sitting really well with technology. In the backup EOC, what we lack is like smart TV, smart board, something like that to be able to. We don't have enough TV, but there's. I'm not going to get into trying to equip an EOC properly when we don't really have an adequate support of power for that. That's why the dispatch center works out well, is they have 3 TVs plus a mobile one in there. Dispatch is right in there, so that is not a bad spot for us. However, it is not. It's not very large either. Knock on wood. Can't find history where we stood up our EOC. That's fantastic. It means we live in a great place. However, that doesn't mean it won't happen.
Right.
But no, I just sum it all up. I've told Tracy before, I'm flexible. Wherever you guys need my office to be is fine with me. It's not a big deal on my end. But the EOC, I mean, you guys have hit on all the topics of that. So, yeah.
Mr. McCormick.
I'm just thinking, Troy, if we had some kind of a, county event, like the whole population is involved and you really have to step up and you're running things, what's in your office that you need? Is there things there that would be a benefit, like if you were
the radio communication, because the mobile radios are very low wattage, so I can't talk on that. Won't go out real far. Where we at that in my office, I have a base antenna, a base radio, which puts out a lot more power. Ryan can attest to that. So that communication can reach out throughout the county, where handheld won't go necessarily far, especially depending on the weather. But other than that, no. I literally have a docking station for my laptop, so I can grab my laptop and go anywhere. I can go up to dispatch, plug into one of the big screens there, pull my computer up like you guys have here. And so we really have kind of changed our whole operation, because in the event we have a major issue and we stand up our emergency operations center, all of our supporting people, like the sheriff's office, they're working people. I mean, they have to be out there in the scene. So we've kind of transitioned to more of a hybrid mobile program. So we still would have our EOC, but it would be more limited people, and then we would contact the people that's listed here via phone, text, email, and collect that information. Because really the EOC is there to provide support to the incident management team that's running the incident. It's not there to run the incident. It's there to say, hey, what do you need? What exactly do you need? How many? When? And then then EOC's job is basic logistics. It's, hey, where can we find it? Where can we find these dump trucks? Where can we find ambulances? And that whole group is divided up there. So we're kind of transitioning because we don't have the manpower to truly staff a full EOC. We will staff it with the critical spots. Our deputy emergency manager is fantastic. Liz Remick is fantastic, and she would be the one operating the EOC. She'd be the EOC manager. And that would free me up to be a little more fluid with the incident management team and do that. So that is, we're kind of switching to a hybrid where we can use technology to communicate that instead of having to physically put people in the room. They're going to be busy working on the job.
Good. Any other questions for Mr. Maloney?
I'd just like to thank Troy for what he does for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great job. Any others? Thank you, Mr. Maloney.
All right, I'm heading to a Homeland Security
Oh, yes.
webinar again.
It's that time of the month, isn't
I
it?
hit on the same day every
Yeah,
time.
another one.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any department head reports? Hearing none. Any public comment? Everybody's quiet today. All right, with that, we'll adjourn court for public safety.
Okay, moving on. I'd call to order the Finance and Administration Committee. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. McCormick?
Here.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
All right. I'd ask for approval of the meeting minutes from December 18th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Begg, support by Walker. Any questions, comments? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Changes to the agenda.
Can we add 2026-09, the 270 Inc. grant for the animal control?
Yes. And I'll put that after the admin report, 2026-07.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Any
you.
other changes? I ask for approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support. Motion by Begg, support by Erickson. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Is there any public comment at this time for Finance and Administration Committee? Hearing none, we'll move on. I hope I pronounce this Mr. Sam Borucki, Spicer Group, Inc.
He was supposed to be here for a presentation with us today to go over the GIS mapping. I just got an email from him letting us know he had something come up. I didn't have a virtual set up for him, so I just want to give the board a little bit of, I had talked about the GIS mapping before and about how we wanted to take a look at our current contract, which the current contract was with Equalization. We do not have a contract in place, however they are fulfilling those duties up until the time that we decide what we plan to do, so we'll probably end up getting some sort of billing for that time. But I wanted the board to look at other avenues because I know Spicer Group's been doing a lot of work with the drain maps, and they also have a different mapping system which is called ASRI, which Newaygo County uses also. You can go to their website and take a look at their mapping to see how that's used and if it's a little easier to maneuver in compared to what we have. So I'm not asking the board to make a decision today. If we would like this to be on the agenda for the next meeting, and Sam can come and talk a little bit more about what they have to offer. I would like to do that. I did reach out to Newaygo County and ask them, because there was a conversation between Chris Wren and myself, he's the county administrator there, about Newaygo County possibly doing our GIS for us. However, he did let me know that what the current company is doing for us is a little more complicated than what they're used to. So Newaygo will not be able to do that for us.
So that would be leaving Beacon.
Yes.
Okay.
If you were to go with Spicer Group, that would be going to Esri. It would cost more. It would cost a little bit to move from Beacon to that new mapping system.
Mhm.
However, I would like the board to take a look at that mapping system and see if that is something that you're
Great.
would even like to look at.
Great, man. Tracy, would it be worthwhile to get the shareholders from the county who use that mapping system all the time, being the people in equalization, being the drain commissioners, a few people from the sheriff's department? Do your road guys still use a mapping system? Maybe your administrative lieutenant over the road patrols or stuff, to have this company sit down with a group of them to come in and talk to them and show them what the system is and show them how the system works. The people that are actually going to be hands-on doing it and using it instead of us. You know, we are going to be occasional users of it, but
Yeah,
we
but
have
not-
department heads that are using it all the time. I think it would be worthwhile, if a company wants to sell us a product, to set up a time and ask somebody from that company to come in and talk to all of our shareholders that use it all the time and give them a presentation on how it works, you know, before it comes to us.
Correct. Well,
Yes.
even if we got an example of, you know, a county that they're doing this for, where you could just go, hey, I'll go to this website, you know, it's not our county, but this is, it's pretty straightforward as far as public facing, you know, is it a usable site to get
Maybe,
clear boundary lines and owner information and,
maybe both of those.
yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Both of them.
Because I can tell you that when, and I'll let the sheriff and the undersheriff correct me if I'm totally wrong on this, but when we went to the Central Square system up at Central Dispatch, the guys on the road, you know, really thought that was a more complicated system to use than what the other system was. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Very much so.
And I would hate to see us go into a system that the guys on the road in the patrol cars want to access, and they find it so complicated they can't get in and out of it and stuff. These people are salespeople. If they've got a product to sell, let them come in and talk to our shareholders about it and see if our shareholders, and I also agree with Mr. Beggs, at the same time, bring us other counties that are doing this.
Right.
And let it,
So
we I can get more information from the people that are using it when they look at it, and from another county, than I can to have that person come and make a presentation to me at this board.
I suspect our townships are probably using that.
Everybody uses
Yeah.
Beacon.
So that would be you know, reach out to a couple townships too.
I
or
don't
all
know.
of them, but-
Maybe there's not a concurrence from the board members, you know. May I ask the sheriff and the undersheriff if they would want to look at it before we change all over and go to something different?
We'd be happy to, but gosh, I think there's a whole bunch of other stakeholders as well that probably use it just as much. Michelle
She was in here.
was in here, but we'd be happy to look at it. You know, our guys use it pretty regular, between that and Onyx, but you have to buy that, so.
And I just want to be clear that if you look at our map right now, there's a lot of the property lines are shifted. This is not going to correct that.
Yeah.
That is a bigger project that would cost a lot more to fix that, but yeah. So
Yeah, a lot
I'm
more.
just pointing that out.
Yeah, Paul.
Would anybody have any objection to county administrator reaching out to these people?
No.
And
None at
ask
all.
them if they
I
would
think it's a
come in
great
and
idea.
meet with our shareholders?
Yeah,
Yep, it's fine.
absolutely. Yes, Paul.
Yes, and if I remember right, Ed Vanderbree provided Beacon to us more so on his dime.
Yep.
And we had a opportunity to change the resolution in that also, where you can look in closer. But, you know, a lot of people use it. All of our realtors are using it now. The treasurer's office uses it. I use it. You know, it's a wonderful thing that we have now. And if there is a better product like Nuego's already using, they're using it for a reason. So yeah, if Tracy looks into a few of our neighbors that have already changed from Beacon, but it's a tremendous tool when you can go and, you know, and look on Beacon and see the transfers and the taxes, and you know, it's better than plat book. I grew up with plat books, and this is the modern day plat book.
No, I think it's a great idea to do.
But whenever you get into something like this, Paul, everybody here knows that I'm not computer savvy. And some of the people that can design some of these programs can make them so intense that they get so complicated that they're difficult for the person sitting in a patrol car or this person sitting in their pickup as a drain commissioner out in the field to try to go all the way through it. You can put too much information in them also.
I think a little due diligence is good, though. Talk to the stakeholders, talk to the counties that have it, and then review that information.
Let's, would it be proper, Mr. Hardy, to do that before it comes back to us?
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. Hardy,
Joe?
maybe Tracy knows, it looks like we have an offer from Schneider as well. Is that a different format that, you know, it sounds like Spicer's the group we want to use. I'm just wondering, the pricing is better with this other one, so is that two different systems, or?
Well, the pricing is better because you're switching, Spicer Group would be switching you to a different mapping system, so it's gonna cost more. That cost to move from Beacon to Esri there's gonna be a jump there.
But there's a benefit to doing that as well?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
The other thing I've found out is that when you're submitting changes that need, like property changes that happen in the Register of Deeds office, they're not getting done quickly. So that's another issue that we have right now. So we can get to
Yeah, that'd be good.
get the people together and
I would suggest that if you set up something with our shareholders, that you send an email out to all the department heads and say when it's going to be and have it here, and so anybody who has an interest, Treasurer, Register of Deeds, anybody, there may be people that I'm not even thinking about, just you know, that we're gonna look at the system.
okay.
Does it have any impact on what Ed does then? Do we need his input, or he's gonna use what we provide?
It doesn't hurt to let him know that, because his office is the
Right.
office that
Uses it.
sends that information into the company to make those
Yeah.
changes. So yes, I would ask that Ed be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's good homework.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, moving on, Commissioner Erickson, Crystal Valley Dam discussion.
Yes, we have Mr. Tiffany is set to lead us by Zoom, and we've all received our letter from Mr. Tiffany in regards to the recommended repairs in light of the changes in the Eagle standards for dam safety.
Maybe. I'm just gonna get this thing down here. Okay, yeah, I just need to know how to. I told him it was gonna be a little bit, but.
Mhm.
Thank you.
He said he'd be there for us, and he was. Waited right there for us.
How do I get that full screen?
Once you hit start.
Oh, I thought I already did that on the other thing.
And then you'll just drag it.
Wow, look at that. And hit the. I got my speaker off here. Does it need to be on? This.
I can hear you.
You should be going, Seth.
You can hear us?
Yeah.
Close
Good
it.
morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Very good. Morning, Mr. Tiffany.
Good morning. Pleased to be with you today.
Good to see you. Could you update us on the changes that Eagle has presented in a concise manner?
Sure, absolutely. We've been working with them for some time on the permitting process, and through that process, we got some updated design flow numbers from the Eagle, and the result of that is that the spillway no longer meets the statutory requirements for spillway capacity. So, in my opinion, doing a rehabilitation project on the spillway is like putting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage. So we need to consider a little different way to move forward, in my opinion.
And that best way would be?
So my recommendation is for complete replacement of the existing spillway.
And in regards to numbers, I know that that's yet to come, but could you tell us a little bit more about the Department of Interior and the eel barriers that we've discussed with them?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. So there's a commission made up of agencies from the United States and Canada. It's called the Great Lakes Fisheries Commission. The U.S. counterpart to that is U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they consider the first dams upstream of the Great Lakes to be sea lamprey barriers, important sea lamprey barriers. The Crystal Valley Dam is on their list, and losing these barriers greatly increases the scope, complexity, and cost of their lampricide program. So they have funds that they can put toward repair, rehabilitation of dams. And when I last spoke with Kevin Mann, who's one of the U.S. representatives on the Great Lakes Fisheries Commission working with the lampricide program, he mentioned a few months ago that they're in the process of establishing funding priorities for their program, working with the dams. And I think it would be well if we made up a delegation to go meet with him and just, he's aware of issues with the dam. I haven't given him an update on the latest developments, but he understands that something needs to be done there. And if we go meet with him, we can, I think, get a much better sense of their priorities, and also relate to him the importance of getting something done here for Crystal Valley Dam.
And could you briefly explain to the group how they've raised the bar with the spillway capacity in the 100 to the 200-year rain?
Well, it's still the 100-year precipitation event, but one thing that's clear is that severe precipitation events have become more frequent and more severe in the past decade or so. And so the Eagle is in the process of updating their flow determinations based on new data from the Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So I'm seeing this with all of the dam projects that I'm working on, dam inspections and so forth, that across the board the flows are increasing for the 100-year flood. It's just based on the data that they're working with.
How long would it take for us to get an estimate on the cost of putting in a proper dam?
So I put together an opinion of cost. It's in the range of $1 million. I recommend preparing a budget of 1.25 to 1.5, just because we haven't completed the design process, and through the design process we can better refine those numbers. But I think 1.25 to 1.5 is a good starting point for a budget.
Do you feel that there may be some monies available if we were to create this delegation and speak with fisheries?
I believe so, yes.
Mr. Walker?
Mr. Tiffany, does that 1 to 1.25, is that the total budget, the removal, and the other, landscaping, if I may use that term, and everything, the total project, or is that just the replacement of the dam?
Yeah, that's total project. The Eagle has identified some other priorities: tree removal, doing some work with tow drains, placing some riprap protection along the shoreline. So that's a comprehensive project, including everything. So I would count on $1.25 million to $1.5 million at this point. And we can refine those numbers as we go further in the process.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Tiffany, I assume that number probably does not include dredging. That's an option, probably option 1 after that repair of the dam?
Yeah, that number does not include dredging. You're correct.
Okay.
That's all right, Paul.
Yes.
I'm just kind of curious with the fisheries, is that typically a percentage of funds that they may put in from the grants? Or would they cover the entire replacement?
So we can have a conversation with them. I'm not familiar with the details of their program, but as we meet with them, we can find that out. I would be surprised if they fund 100%, but it's also likely that there are other sources of funding that could be brought to the table to combine with their funding, and maybe some county money as well, to put together a funding stack for the project.
And also, I was looking for different grants through different sources. But my understanding is Eagle actually handles grant processing too. They have a dam risk reduction grant program. They call it the DRRGD.
Yep. So there's two things about that program. One is that there's a lot of competition for that grant money, and their focus is on high hazard dams that are in very poor condition. This is a low hazard dam, so it doesn't rise to the top very easily. And then the other issue is that future phases of that grant program are not currently funded. So unless the state legislature puts together another round of funding, that program is on hold for the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I did notice there was a lot of information online that said nothing had been set up yet for 2026. So.
Right.
Good. Would there be anything, Joel?
I guess, can I make one more comment?
Oh, sure.
Mr. Tiffany, this is not a slight to you, so please don't take it that way. We've entered it. We've been in this conversation for 3 years now. We've hired 2 competent engineers in Spicer Group and Mr. Tiffany, and we've come to the same conclusion both times. Spicer Group informed us of these updated flow numbers that Eagle may or may not be using. We're bumping into them again where Spicer Group identified, and as Mr. Tiffany has also identified, our current spillway is not sufficient to meet Eagle's new standard, I guess is what, maybe it's, I don't know, Mr. Tiffany, maybe it's not an adopted standard, but it's a working standard for flow rates. And each time we come to the conclusion that we're looking at $1.5 million plus dollar amount plus dredging, and perhaps there's funding. We've looked under a number of rocks so far and nothing's plopped into our lap. I'm open to continue the discussion, to look for funding, hopeful, but the thought of asking the taxpayers of this county to fund $1.5 million to, I'll throw out $3 million if we have to dredge in worst case scenario is pretty tough, especially from the general fund. So if this conversation continues, I'd be willing to throw out a millage request to the taxpayers, and if they give it a thumbs up, then maybe it's something that could be funded. The details, I don't know what that looks like, but there's not $1.5 million to $3 million in the general fund or any other fund to take care of a project of this scope in the future. So I don't want to be the downer. I'm willing to continue the discussion, but it's been an ongoing discussion, and we've come to the same conclusion twice now, that this is a very costly project, that so far we haven't found any partners to help cover the cost. Just a shot of reality from my chair.
Mr. Walker?
Yeah, so if I could speak to that just briefly, the political realities of the county funding a project are not something that I can address, but I will say that when Spicer was involved, there was a lot less information available, and so the recommendations were a lot more general than they are where we are at this point.
Sure.
And since they were involved, we've done subsurface investigation, and also these new flow numbers have come out. I actually developed a HEC-RAS model of the spillway, and under the old flow numbers, the spillway capacity was acceptable. It wasn't generous, but it met the state standards. So it's only in the past year, 2025, that they came up with this new flow number that really throws a monkey wrench into the whole picture.
Yeah.
So just some perspective on background there.
Yeah, I would agree that certainly your work has been more detailed and hands-on, like digging in the dirt, checking things out. But when Spicer Group was involved, this flow rate wasn't the standard, but they did mention that it was likely going to be the standard. So it was, at least from my recollections, Spicer Group mentioned that there was probably a new standard coming down the pike, and now we're bumping into that. So again, I'm not disparaging your work. I think we've hired two great firms that have come to very similar conclusions. You've been able to invest more time and effort and detail, but the reality is we're bumping into the same conclusion. We've hired two good firms that know what they're doing, and for us, we're coming to the same conclusion twice, that this is a costly project that perhaps is out of arm's reach for us.
Yes, Mr. Walker.
I have total confidence in Mr. Tiffany, in his expertise and his ability on this.
Yep.
The work that he's done for us has been explained in a way that I have been able to understand most of it, 99% of it, which wasn't the case. It is not always the case when I'm involved with engineers or architects. Mr. Tiffany has done an excellent job of explaining that. What I would like to see, and I'm not trying to unring the bill, but what I would like to see is the administrator to pull together for us, between the Spicer Group and between Mr. Tiffany, how much money we have invested in this project already. You know, not that that's a determining factor for me, but that does have to go on top of the 1.3 or whatever. Besides, it's a total investment that we have, and then we need to, for myself, we need to see, and this will take a while to get, especially with the federal government, with Fish and Wildlife being involved on the Lamprey program. We need to get some type of a rough budget on what this is a cost, and then what our buy-in is going to get on it. And then we need to rely on our administrator to give us an idea how we can fund that. The administrator is the person that's responsible for we're ultimately responsible for financing, but the administrator is the expert that we go back to see what financing is and to see where we are. And I think that's the direction that we need to go into now.
Yeah, and I think it'd be apropos to maybe have the administrator and one of the commissioners talk about the fishery grant, or meet with them and find out.
Yes. And that would be Mr. Erickson's committee. That would be Mr. Erickson's committee.
That way we can get an idea of what
the other thing we need to do is there's been talk about another project, you know, getting started on, and this board needs to prioritize where we are. Because if we start looking at another project or the possibility of another project, we may end up with none. We need to prioritize where we're going, what we're going to do. We can. I don't want to see us keep going on and leading the public in different areas of the county with the thought that maybe we can fund everything, because I've said this for, I'm not going to say how many years I've been involved in the public sector, because I'll tell you how old I am, but I've said all along that government can't do everything for everybody. And when we start going into major 7-figure projects, I don't think we wanna get going in more than one direction at a time. So, but I'd like to see the administrator, work with the Buildings and Grounds Committee and pull together how much we have invested so far and an idea on what the actual cost would be going forward. Yeah, does anybody have any objections to that?
That's a great idea.
So,
No, good idea. Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
We have to do something with Crystal Valley Dam, correct? We can't just pretend that it's gonna go away. We have to address it. And so if we're not gonna replace it, that sounds like we're gonna remove it. What's the cost to do the removal? You're still gonna do the dredging, the removal. The state will pay for removal, but they won't pay for replacement. Is that the issue?
Well, removal's gonna have to come before replacement, so it, you know, I think that's a valid question. Joel, how much is it?
I mean, we're not
gonna
gonna
cost
just
to take-
remove it and let all the sediment go. That's gonna have to be cleaned up.
It's
right?
gonna have stabilized once it's removed.
It's already, water's already migrating underneath the dam now, according to the report.
I couldn't take a guess what it would cost to remove a structure like that and, remunerate it.
Yes, well, very easily. We already repaired Marshville Dam that wasn't there, and with the NOAA money and the CRA money and all the other monies, I believe we had $3 million into landscaping a dam that was not there. And Crystal Valley, our park, was the first park that was built, and that's a 1938 dam that was built with WPA labor and money. Historically speaking, it's one of the two remaining WPA projects in Oceana County, aside from the Frisco painting in the courthouse or in the post office across the street. We're obligated for that dam. I know we have been, but no, Tim, I don't mean obligated to repair it.
Okay.
We're obligated to that dam, and this board, not us, but previous boards have played hot potato with this thing for 40 years. 40 years, and had the money been spent 10 years ago to have fixed that dam, we wouldn't be talking about $1.5 million today. It's been a moving target. This thing, and they've raised the bar, and it's a low hazard dam in Crystal Valley, Michigan that is of no danger to anyone if it were to go out. Yeah, we would have sediment going downstream, and there's a cabin or two that might see some high water come up the bank, but felt we were fortunate when the Department of Interior came and did look at that on the alewife. You know, the North Branch, we treat the alewife, the eels on the North Branch, and this is one more tributary that was brought into consideration. That dam's been here since the introduction of salmonoids to Lake Michigan. So there's been a few changes in history, but if we're going to be obligated to remove that dam, we're going to have to look for money, as we had done for the Marshville Dam. And when I first got involved in these dams, it started with us spending a ton of money on a dam that wasn't there. A ton of money on a dam that wasn't there. And it was federal money, and it was not taxpayer money. And I agree with you, Tim, at this given point in time, if this dam is going to be an issue that the people of Oceana County are responsible for, we didn't drag our feet in this. This was handed to us. That I would put it up to a vote of the people also. But I also, Kyle's here, and there's been a large discussion out in Crystal. You know, if we were to remove the dam and remove the pond, you know, how would that affect the park as we have it?
Well, Paul, do you think it would be financially responsible that we should look at both of those numbers?
Well, yes. Well, like Joel
And I
said,
don't know,
we're going to be
Mr.
there.
Tiffany, if that's something that you could look at, or is that not in your field of endeavor?
Yeah, certainly.
Well, and I know Joel could have that dam gone in about 4 hours.
No, but
So-
I think we should look at
No.
both of those, and I know there's funds or grants available for dam removal.
We need to explore every
But
option
I'd
available.
also like to see what the fisheries said for
Right.
grant repair, so I think if we look at both of those scenarios, then we can make a better judgment.
May I?
Yes.
Where I'm coming from on this dam, I appreciate the dam. I know there's more sentiment in the neighborhood for the dam than there is in the out area, but that sentiment should not be slighted for those people there. But I'm looking at this dam from the standpoint, if it was a personal project for somebody on building a new house, or they would wanna have the financing in line before they started it, and they'd wanna know they can afford it. If there was a business adventure on adding a new addition and adding more people to a company, you would certainly wanna make sure that you have the financing to do it before you get into it, and you wouldn't kick the can around for 3 or 4 or 5 years like we have been doing. And
30
for me,
years.
it's time to find out just exactly, as close as we can, how much we spent and how much it would cost to do this, and use the expertise of our administrator's office, you know, on if we have the funding, and if not, what can we do?
Right.
Do we wanna borrow money for a project like this? We could probably do like some of the townships have done for roads and pay for it over a period of time. There's probably any number of things we could do, but I think it's time that we get the data, as Phil Morris would have said. We're data driven. Let's get the data and take a look at it and see what we can do. And I'm taking this not with the attitude of dropping the whole thing and just taking it out. I'm taking it with the attitude, let's see if we can afford to keep this going and then to save the dam.
And if you can kinda take a peek at that, that'd be great. But
Yeah, yes.
I think
yeah.
both equations, and let's find, I don't know, if you got soil removal, if it's contaminated, it's gonna have to go to a special site, that's gonna cost money. I think either way, we're screwed with that. How's that? I think whether
We
they
pump-
repair it or whether they take it out, it's,
We gotta pump mud, yeah, and they will.
but if you could work with Mr. Tiffany on that and get some advice on the grants for either both repair or removal.
Is-
And see where,
Is it time, if what they're doing that we get samples of some of the sediment in that dam to see if we have to take it to a class 3 landfill?
Well,
Or to see if it can be
Spicer
good?
did
Did they?
samples. There were a few that had some heavy metals, but they said, oh, it could have been a sinker, you know, mud
Okay.
taken right next to a
So
lead
if
sinker.
that's been done and that information's there, we
Yeah.
need to
Yeah, that's
use
in the
that
report.
information in our evaluation at the same time.
I don't think it was comprehensive, but they did take
Yeah.
a number of samples
Okay.
from the sediment.
Mr. Tiffany, what's the time frame here for responding to Eagle?
Oh, the Eagle's not breathing down our necks. I think what's important is that we're able to demonstrate to them that we're being proactive and moving forward and doing what we can to avoid a dam failure out there. So I think that's their concern, is that we're processing and moving forward.
Okay,
Now remember, we just got a notification from Eagle that they want to do an inspection of that dam this year.
right.
And
It's a
maybe,
requirement, isn't it, I believe?
you know, however we can kick that can down the road, you know, until we have a chance to really evaluate it. Let's try to do that, because we have to pay for that inspection too.
I think they said that was
They'll
no
do it
charge.
free.
Okay.
Yeah,
We know-
Eagles
we
is
know it-
free, but it has to be done by a certain date, right?
I do believe so, there's a deadline.
Well, then we
The
just,
end of the
Go ahead.
December 31
Oh, that's
Is
the,
it-
okay.
inspection.
well, if Mr. Tiffany's in contact with the people from Eagle, I'm satisfied that he will work with them. You know, that there really is no need for that right now, if they will listen.
I haven't got the letter from them yet.
but we know it's coming.
I know it's coming, yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any other?
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate, this has gone on for 40 years, and the reason the road commission got rid of the property and gave it to the county was so that they wouldn't be obligated to this dam. But, you know, to remind everybody, the road commission owned this before the county did.
Yeah. I think the county's put money in that at least twice over the last 20 years.
Well,
And I want to say, if I mean, I might be wrong, but I think the last time they did it was around $100,000.
well, and look at all the state trunk lines that have been turned over to the county, and they put money in there to repair them once, and then
Yeah.
where does the money come from 15 years down the line when it has to be repaired again? You know, that's a good giveaway, you know, to take the cost off your books.
Any other thing? Mr. Tiffany, I want to thank you very much, and we'll have the administrator work with you and take a look at the grant opportunities.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, take care.
Yep. All right. Administrator Biard, pole barn modification.
There was, some bids that were submitted, for the packet. And my apologies for, it is the decision of the board to determine, who you select for as to award the bid to, and I put, a person's name in the actual motion, but that is actually, at the discretion of the board. It's your decision who you choose to do that project. So, yes.
Could I ask Ryan if I could, I looked over the quotes and I was kind of confused a little bit. Do all the quotes include the automatic opener? Because when I was reading those, I noticed one of them said, you know, $50 extra for remote for the
Yes.
opener, but I didn't see it on the other quotes. They actually included.
Yes, I was pretty specific with all three vendors that it had to be all inclusive. Door, opener, bollards, pavement.
Okay.
It was the entire package. I was very specific with each of them about that issue. You are right though. Some of them were a bit more detailed than others.
Yeah, and I just, yes, Ms. Roy.
May I picked up that there was no opener in the low bid, and we're kinda in the same thing that we were a little while ago when we put the new HVAC systems in the Griswold Street building on the warranties, that it's not in the bid, it doesn't exist. And there was only $600 difference, less than $500 difference between the low bid and the second bid, less than $500. And realistically, the second bid is who built that building. And the garage door company that they use is the same as the garage doors that are on there now. And there's a lot to be said about having something like that you have to have service all come from the same place, because having been in the business for so long, when you need service to a garage door 10 years from now, or if somebody backs into a garage door, you can just say, you know, that garage door, you know, came from the same ones, we can just go and do it. And with that being said, for less than $500, I have no interest in no relationship with either one of these companies whatsoever. You know, from my standpoint, I would be willing to pay the extra $480 to have the company put in the same product that we have every place else in the building, and to do the same thing. I'd ask Mr. McCormick, what's your thoughts on that, Mr. McCormick?
Yeah, I picked up on the same thing. It didn't mention the operator, so you have to assume that it's not included unless we go back and ask them. And like you say, we didn't want to go back and ask about the warranty situation, so But the continuity of the contractor and having all the same doors, I think that has some merit.
And you're gonna have the same steel that's gonna go in there if they have to put any steel or anything, unless we specified the name of the steel. That's just my thought. If it was me personally, out of my own checkbook, and I think everybody realizes that I don't spend much money.
No, I agree with you. I mean, if I was doing a business, I would definitely have the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what my thought would be with this.
And as long as we're confident the
And-
package is
and-
complete.
And I looked at something here.
Yeah.
At first I thought, why are we taking out the concrete and putting new concrete in? And then I went back and looked at the pictures, and they were done very, very specific.
Yeah.
That they're filling the area between the two pads.
Right.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Why have grass in there?
Yep.
You know, the area is filled between the two pads. You can park a vehicle between the doors when you're going in. There's a lot of reasons to fill that in. And, you know, that's money well spent.
Yeah.
To do that, and I never thought of that, but it was that was progressive thinking to have that filled in.
Nice.
Yes.
Question, or comments. I know both of the people, the second and the first and second bid. I've had both of them perform work on my home and my business. They're both very competent. For the opener, I don't know. You know, I can only, you know, Mr. Schiller said his solicitation for bid was very specific. So I guess I'm assuming that the bid is in line with the request. But also, it's not a big difference between the first and second bidder. They're both high quality contractors that are going to do great work. So.
Yeah. I know from my past experience, the garage door company that the low bidder is using is a very capable garage door company. He's done work for me. Very, very happy. He used Copley brand garage doors. The other company uses the Holman garage doors, which are the same thing that's in the building now. And I'm just thinking, when 15 years from now, 20 years from now, if a garage door needs to be serviced, we will know where it came from, and you won't have to think what garage door is this, what brand is it, and everything. So the first company, I don't know, you know, other than what I looked up on the company, I don't know, you know, anything about them. I think they're a capable company. I've seen there's no complaints or anything with the company, but for the type of money, I think, as I said, personally, I'd pay the extra money on the extra 4% to get the continuity of the building, and just where I'm coming from.
Anyone else?
I looked them all over too. I've used two of the three. K&S Carl is an excellent garage door installer. I've used him many times. But you know, 15 years from now, I'm not sure Carl's going to be doing garage doors, so it's kind of an open-ended thing right now. I expect 15, 20 years out of that door, and none of us will be talking about it.
Be a new board. Okay. Do we have well, we can decide at the regular meeting.
I would, if it would me, I would personally, I don't do it because I'm not, because I'll be chairing that meeting, but I would put the motion out forward if I was not chairing the meeting to take the second bid from Blackmer for the different price and support that.
I concur with you on that. All right, any other discussion? Moving on, Lisa Nagel, Council on Aging. Michigan Department of Transportation Contract Clause Certification.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's time for our annual application, so we're working on the fiscal year specialized services application, and so I need the agreement signed by the board. You should have gotten everything in your packet. If I may, I would also like to say that we're very excited that we got the bus garage grant from the federal government. That is a huge win for us, and from MDOT. And I have put together a advisory committee from the community to help with that, and I just want to let you know that Commissioner Baggs has agreed to be on that committee also.
May I?
Yes, Mr. Walker.
I want to thank you for making this signature page so simple compared to the electronic signature
told you.
that I had to go through 40 pages of a grant to find what page I'm going to sign. And lo and behold, somebody from the state of Michigan put the signature page at the front
Yep.
where I can actually sign it, and I can do a formal written signature instead of an electronic signature.
Yeah.
You know, who turned the lights on in Lansing, or did you do that for us?
Well, this is just in this
This is
specific
just-
application
Yeah.
that they allow it. Other things they don't allow it for, so it just happens to be what their procedure is.
I remember sitting at one of the other boards that I was on, that they needed an electronic signature, and the documents that we had to read for that were 248 pages. And the electronic signature was shifted someplace halfway through, and it was just like, where do I find this? Or where do I scroll through on my tablet to find it, which is worse than trying to find it on a paper copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Any questions? Thank you very much. Moving on, Administrator Biard, Administrator's reviews for selected claims for payment and Administrator report.
The claims have been provided for you. I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything in there.
I did not.
Okay.
I had one, I see Ken Adams is there. Is that work complete, or is that a partial invoice?
I believe we still had some, a little bit of work to do out there around the entrance door or the gate part.
We do. And we have, the other thing we have is water ponding on the east side of the scale, which is a pretty good sized area, but I don't think it's too difficult to address. We've got plenty of fall there. It's just a matter of adjusting the aggregate, the driveway grade, so that it can drain away, and maybe a little bit of fill alongside there, but I think we need to wait till spring when we get good weather to do that, and he needs to come back and finish out by the road there where we did the new entrance.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so it won't be a special trip to address the scale, but
Sure.
those two things they need to come back to take care of.
Okay.
Mr. Beggs, Ken Adams called me, and he asked me if he could submit the bill for the partial work that he did, the bid work that he did. He said because he can't do anything by the gate until they have the gate put in, and the gate company says it'll probably be April now before they can put that in. And my thought was that, give us a bill, we're not gonna make you hold the paper on for 4 months.
That's perfectly reasonable to
But
pay
very
for
valid
the work that's
question,
been done.
but he did reach out before he sent the bill.
Okay, good.
So I didn't have a written report in the packet. I was out between the holidays, out of the office. However, there are a couple things that I wanted to talk about a little bit. As you recall, there was a lapse with the state of Michigan and finishing up with their budget, and so we were having some issues with the indigent defense funding not coming through, and then they were holding things up. The state was holding those funds up because they didn't want, we had submitted for indirect costs. As you know, we do that with many of our funds. And our argument to the state of Michigan was that we are required to do this work. The administrator's office, the treasurer's office, we all do work for the indigent defense. They should be no different than our other funds and have to pay those indirect costs to cover. So it's been quite an argument, and so they were holding up our funding. However, Karen Moore did get the reporting submitted to them, and we should be seeing those funds rolling in here pretty soon. But between the budget and this indirect cost thing, we were having issues with getting our monies in, but that'll be rolling in soon. It's finishing up with end of the year stuff, getting things finalized, invoices finalized for the end of the year, but other than that.
Yes, Mr. Roy.
The first claims for payment that came out, anybody who read them closely saw one in the $50,000 market for American Classic, for repairs of a dumpster. When I saw that, my blood pressure went up about 15 points, and who do you think the first person I called to ask what it was all about? And then I also talked to Joel about it, and because he was so involved, it was that you'll notice is not on the second request for claims. It was an inadvertent thing that came in there. A lot of history behind it, but it's gone. But there are still some things that Tracy is working very diligently on behalf of the county, with some other bills that we've got in that she's working to. So
I did have a conversation via text with Brian Lennon yesterday, because I needed to get the scrap tire numbers to submit to the state of Michigan, and asked him how things were going, and he said things are going well.
Good.
So.
I've heard nothing but positive things from people who have been out there. They say it's much simpler. And the people that came in with big dump trailers full of shingles and said they were going to take it someplace else, I know 2 of them that left and came back.
That's good. Any other questions for Ms. Biard? All right, we have one more item that was added to the agenda, Animal Control 270H Incorporated Grant 2026-09, and I think everybody had a copy of that. You want to read through that?
So we didn't know if we were going to get this grant again this year. They kind of held up some of the funding last year, but we did get this notification that there's $10,000 for the spay-neuter program, and we're just asking that you approve that and allow the chair to sign that.
Any questions? All right, any department head reports? All right, hearing none, any public comment for Finance and Administration Committee?
Just referring to the Crystal Dam, Kyle Oman, Crystal Township. When it comes to the budget, that 1.3 million was obviously a pretty big number, but there's a fair amount of pretty good sized businesses out there, one including us. If it would drop that number, if you needed a place to put dirt or dredging material we own a lot of land, around them parts, and we got a couple chunks of land south 3 miles, probably save on a lot of trucking or whatever you need it for, to store or take that dirt if it's not poison per se. So keep that as an option to cut that budget a little bit. And we also have dirt if you need it to build a new land dam or whatever you want to call that. So put the feelers out there, ask for help. We do have equipment. We don't have a lot, we got trucks, but I think we're willing to donate a little time and money to this project if you needed that. And I don't think we're the only ones that feel that way either. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Any other public comment for Finance and Administration? All right. We'll adjourn the Finance and Administration Committee, and we'll take a 10-minute break before we start the full board meeting.